Good morning, everybody. It's Chris van die Kerk here at Blue Rhino Safaris. Uh, let's look at Botswana. I'm doing a tour next year that I call my Botswana Deluxe Tour. Many people, when I go to the shows and I chat about the trips, many people tell me that they would do Namibia by themselves, they would do Botswana by themselves. And if I listen to their stories, I often hear that they drive through the areas, but don't necessarily see everything that there is to see or know where everything is that they're supposed to be looking for. So I decided to, for this year, not do a Botswana Blitz, which I normally do just touching on the main areas, but do a slightly more in-depth trip of Botswana. Now, it's not going to be other areas. It's going to stay focused on the Moremi and the Chobe regions, but we are going to stay a little bit closer to the action. Now, normally as a tour operator, when I go out on trips, I try to keep the trip as cheap as I can. So we stay outside of the park so that we avoid the expensive camping fees inside of the parks. We try a few things. We make the trip a little bit shorter just to be sure that it's affordable to most people. But every now and again, you need to just splash out a little bit. When I sleep at Third Bridge, I have my best wildlife experiences. When I sleep in Savuti, I have good experiences. So the idea is to get closer to the action and spend a little bit more time at those closer positions in the park. So I have a Botswana trip. I call it my Botswana Deluxe trip. And the idea of this trip is to really enjoy Botswana, stay close to the action, and stay inside of the parks. And that's why it's more expensive than my normal trips would be, because the accommodation inside of the parks are expensive. We are paying park fees for every night that we stay there, and I think we are in the parks for 7 days or something, for a whole week, 8 days that we're paying park fees. So it makes it a little bit more expensive, but for 2023, that's what I'm going to do. If you're interested, it's going to be a great trip because we are close to the action. Anything happening out there, it will be right on our doorstep. When I was there this year, we drove out from outside into Third Bridge, arrived there, and the guy said, the lions were sleeping by the gate for the whole night. Everybody sat in their campsite watching the lions. 2 years ago, we had wild dogs inside of the camp, our campsite. You've seen my wild dog videos. So things happen inside of the park, and therefore I want to stay 3 nights at Third Bridge, 2 nights at Savuti, 1 night at Kwai Camp, which gives us nice short days and a nice relaxing experience, and we can cover all the bases. So if you go onto the website and you click on 2023 tours, you'll see the Botswana Deluxe is out there. There it is. Click on Deluxe. 20 July 2023 is our meeting night at Nata. It's a 10-night trip, so 11 days for 14,000 Rand per person. There's no catering included, and I can take a maximum of 14 people. The campsites, if you sleep inside of the park, limits you on the amount of people that you're allowed on a campsite. If we are in private sites, they give us a bit of leeway and we can spend more time or just have extra sites. But if you book Savuti and Kwai and Third Bridge, you are restricted to how many people you can take based on the campsites that you have. If you click on read more, then you'll see on the website everything is here. The itinerary is there, the route is there. So let's quickly go through the route for those of you that haven't seen it yet. Our first night is at Nata. They've got a nice restaurant. If you arrive a little bit early at Nata, at about 3 in the afternoon, 3:30, they have a pan drive. So you can go out with their vehicle, spend 3 hours on the pans. If the birds are in, you'll see the birds, a little bit of antelope, and then back for the evening. Around about 6:30, there's dinner in the restaurant. So if you want to do a restaurant meal, that's the ideal time to do that. The next day, it's a 300-kilometer tar road up to Kasane. And the idea is to arrive early enough in Kasane to do our last little bit of grocery shopping before we hit the parks. And in the afternoon, do boat cruises if you feel like a river cruise on the Chobe River. So I'm doing my trip in reverse. We're starting with a boat cruise on the Chobe River. Not included in the price. Many people have done it before, but it's available in the afternoon. The next morning early, we set out into the Chobe National Park area and we do the river cruise or the river drive. And that is the most popular drive in Botswana, I think. where we follow the Chobe River all on the riverbanks, going around to Ngoma Bridge, which is the entry to Caprivi Strip. So we spend the day, we have coffee, we have lunch in the park, and ultimately we pop out on the other side and we sleep on the outside on the road, on the road, but at the campsite overlooking the Lanyanti Plains area. So very nice night. There's no restaurant there, but a nice campsite, nice views, and we have a nice sundowner on the deck overlooking the area. Then from there we head up with the sand road into Savuti itself. 2 nights in Savuti, at Savuti campsite in the park, and on the day that we are there we will visit the rock art. I'll tell you the stories about the rock art, where it comes from, what you're seeing. We'll probably go out to Rhino Flay depending on where the action is. Very nice area to drive to, and we will do a little bit of game viewing, stop for coffee, have lunch, and then ultimately 2 nights in Savuti. Once we are done there for the 2 nights, we will head down to Kwai, which is the north gate of the Moremi, and we'll sleep there for the night. So we have a nice day, slowly driving down, doing some game viewing, until we get to Kwai Camp. Kwai Camp is also very well known for animal activities around the campsite, so we're hoping to see a little bit of animals around the campsite. And then the next day we head up to Third Bridge. Now, first thing we're going to do is we're going to go to Kakanaka, and we'll do a boat ride on the Delta, which is included in the price. Just a 2-hour boat ride, going out, having a look around, and then coming back again. It is winter, so there's not too many birds out. They're not breeding at the moment in July, but it's nice to just get out and see what the Okavango Delta is all about from a boat. So that we will do on the way to Third Bridge, and then we have 3 nights at Third Bridge. Now, that is probably the best 3 nights you can ever spend anywhere in a game viewing area, is Third Bridge for 3 nights or a week or whatever you can do there. We'll be there for 3 nights, 2 days. So there's new water sections that have opened up with the Delta flooding in this previous season, or actually last season already. So the Delta looks very different, and the Third Bridge area has a lot of water, which means there's a lot of animals, and it's really nice to go there. We'll drive down to Blackpools. If you haven't seen Blackpools, the Blackpool area yet, we'll go to the Blackpool area. We'll look for the Queenie lions. They are normally around about the Queenie Lake area. We'll see if we can find the wild dogs. It's their territory. They are always around there. And then from there, we will head down to Maun for our last night. Nice restaurant, Audi Camp. Many of you have stayed there before. Nice restaurant there to have a meal, and then the next morning we head off home. Fairly straightforward, nothing funny. 4x4s please. The sand is fairly deep when we get to Third Bridge and Savuti area, and you can get through on a 4x2 if you're not towing, but there's some areas that I'm just not going to tempt fate on it. So 4x4 with low range, ground clearance is a thing. One of the reasons I say the 4x2s, I'm a bit worried about them. You're driving on the sand road and you're not getting stuck, and you have a good argument that the 4x2 is just as good, and then the next moment there's a truck coming from the front. You'd have to turn out of the way because the truck can't, and you have a high bank on the side of the sand road. It's a big soft high bank, and you have to get out of that bank or you reverse a few kilometers back. Because the truck is not going to go out of the way for you. And that's where the real problem comes, is just in that position where you might run into a bit of hassles. So for me, 4x2s on this trip, no, let's stick to the 4x4s. We'll deflate tires and make sure that we don't get stuck in the sand. And so yes, it's going to be a lot of fun. If you have the time, if you have a few bucks available, there's a year to save, so you can start saving now. But it's going to be a fun trip. It's one of the nice wildlife experience trips that there is. So let me know if you're interested. There's already a few bookings on the trip, so not much space left. Let me know if you're interested, and we can make a plan. Cheers.